Hey guys, my name is Nathan.
And today
I am
I am bored. Like
so bored,
so
out of my
bored,
mind.
out of my mind.
So I decided,
hey,
I suck at guitar,
I suck at guitar,
but
but
I like to
I
make
like
music.
to make music.
So I'm gonna make
So I'm gonna make a very bad
guitar
guitar song,
and
just talk about
time travel.
time
Because
travel.
I like time
Because I like
travel,
time travel.
music.
I like music. So why not do both of them at once?
Well, except
You're not actually doing time travel. I'm just talking about it. But
you get the gist.
you get the gist. You get the gist. You guys won't be able to hear the input of the microphone. At least I don't think. Sorry, my audio must have been doubling up there for you. Actually, I do believe. I wonder, could I? Ooh, I just had a really good idea that would potentially allow y'all to hear this. Maybe. There we go. So now, I have no idea how that sounds for you guys, so I'm gonna turn this down slightly. And by slightly, I mean a decent bit. Just in case it sounds horrid. If it doesn't sound horrid, then hey, great. But if it does, then there is one thing I need to do, though, before we start making our music. For some reason, this includes quite a bit of fuzz, just ambiently, when you're recording. So if you turn down that little band there, here, one second, let me. If you turn down that little band there, it will just not anymore. I'm not exactly sure why, but hey, is what it is. I'm gonna put my camera right up here because there isn't a lot up here. Right down here. Look, man, I did this video on a whim. I'm bored. Let's talk about time travel and music, shall we? Alright. So, regarding time travel and whatnot, there's... I'm basically just gonna be explaining some of the basic mechanics that a lot of pieces of fiction use when they use time travel. Now, granted, I have no notes here. This is going purely off of memory. But... So... I'm not going to be editing this video either. Like, I might make some little minor cuts and edits, but this is going straight from OBS to YouTube. So if there are long pauses, then sorry. Let's real quick give this a listen. Sounds pretty good. Yeah. So first off, we gotta talk about some very basic things about time travel. Essentially, there are a few different versions of time travel. There's the standard version that everyone thinks about, like Back to the Future style time travel and whatnot, where it's literally you just go back in your own timeline and just do whatever, you know, like you can go back in whatever timeline you're in, and whatever changes you make immediately affect the future, and you can do things that would cause you to fade from existence, but those things will still have happened. like when Marty nearly fades away because his parents aren't together. There's the other form of time travel, another form of time travel, is a very, also very common form of time travel. Sorry, it's hard to talk and play at the same time. Basically, right now I'm trying to get this like basic melody down, because I want to do a basic melody on top of the guitar, because this is just going to be like a little intro song, not like intro for videos, but intro for an album. So yeah, but anyways, another very common form of time travel is when you go back in time. You cannot do things that would cause you to not exist or not have gone back there in the first place. I say this is very common. I've only ever really seen one thing use it before, and that was in DC's Legends of Tomorrow. Like, for instance, they go back in time, and one of the characters has a father who he very much doesn't like. So he tries to whack him right in the family jewels, as it were. But he isn't able to, because that would cause him to never exist in the first place. Now, they can change things about history. Not too much, but a decent little bit. And yeah, it's just it's kind of a neat form of time travel, that one. I don't know. Another one is one that was described in the Flash movie. Minor spoilers if you've never seen it before. The way they describe time travel in the Flash movie is when you're going back in time, if you change something, you're not going back into your original timeline, you're just going to another timeline where that thing happened instead. It's like, so it's not like, oh, you change something here and then it affects everything here, and you change something here and now all of a sudden you're here, because yeah, time travel. That's basically going to be the reasoning for a lot of the things in this, is just going to be time travel. Let's see. I feel like that could be a real nice little thing right there. Let's add some delay. Yeah, that should be good. All right. That's nice. I wonder if there's like a little, I want to add like a little grit to it, but I'll do that one. See if I can turn these down a little bit just to lessen the effect. Oh, that's good. That's real good. If I put the delay before. Nice. So that version of time travel is a little screwy. They don't even really use it right in the movie, because in the movie, a lot of they contradict it quite a bit. Like, they keep going back into the past to, spoilers, try to save Batman and Supergirl, which creates that weird Anti-Flash who is basically just Savitar. And the way that time travel system that they're using in that movie that they described earlier in that movie would not allow for that to happen. That would just cause them to keep timeline hopping, and it's just like, I don't know. And they also explain, like, they have like a crappy version of canon events in it too, where it's like inevitable interpasses or something like that, where it's just like, oh yeah, this thing will always happen in every timeline. But then by that logic, Batman will always die and Supergirl will always die, which, if that were the case, that hasn't been kept to at all. So yeah, it's all a bit screwy, that version. And then we have a version which I like to call the how do I describe this one? This version is a very kind of screwy version. Well, not screwy. If you understand it, like, it's easy to understand when to, like, get your head around it, but it can create some really screwy things. And that is the let's call it the looping time travel. Now, this isn't time loops. Time loops I don't really count as far as a time travel. I mean, sure, they are time travel, but it's just a time loop. You know, it's just going back in the same, like, closed thing. This is a bit more complicated. It is essentially a form of time travel which uses stable time loops. So imagine, imagine, if you will, you're trying to go back and change the past to make a crap ton of money on a stock exchange. You know, like, you know when it's gonna happen. I need to turn down the volume on my headphones because I can barely hear myself. Because, like, you know exactly when this is going to happen, like when the stocks are gonna go up and down and etc. And you want to exploit that. Well, in this version of time travel, you would have already technically done it. You would have, like, okay, say you are, I'm going into another example here, but so I feel like this is, I'm gonna have to turn this one down and this one up a bit. Okay. And say that, yeah, no, this is not all I'm looking for. I need like a beat before I start adding keys and that. But say you want to go back and meet yourself. You know, just go back in time and meet yourself. Well, if you were to try and go back and meet yourself, you would have to have already met future you. So it's essentially like, say you're walking down the street, and then a future version of you walks up to you and says hi, and like, I don't know, he slaps you in the face. Well, then you would have to eventually go back in time and become that version of you that comes up, says hi, and slaps you in the exact same way, or else it's not a stable time loop, as it's known. If it isn't a stable time loop, then things can get a little messy, you know? It can get a little screwy, as it were. It's starting to sound like a horror game title screen. Oh my god, I gotta make a horror game now. This is gonna be the title screen for it. Oh, that's gonna be great. I'm actually kinda hyped for that. So you're going back and creating a time loop in this version, essentially. This version of I need to real quick edit notes, patterns. All right, whatever. I'll just restart doing that. Is there a way to merge these? Oh, sorry, I blanked it for a second. Sorry, I completely forgot I was talking about time travel for a second there. So, oh crap, I lost my train of thought. Oh no. So the way that time travel version works is you need to always maintain a stable time loop. You always, everything has already always happened in like the main timeline. All you're doing is making sure any time travel that does happen is like a loop, a stable loop. If you do something that changes the the timeline and is not just a stable loop, things get messy. It's paradoxes. Speaking of paradoxes, let's talk about paradoxes. Okay, how do I explain paradoxes? So imagine, if you would, you want to go back in time. And I'm using the Doctor Who example, if anyone knows this one. You want to go back in time and meet Mozart. Like, you love his music, you want to go back in time and meet him. So you go back to Germany and I don't remember, whatever time period he was in, I don't remember. But no one's ever heard of him. No one's heard the name, not even his family members have heard the name. So you start panicking, you know, like, oh god, where's Mozart? Why doesn't he exist? Where is he? And you don't know what to do. But then you realize that you brought all of your sheet music, all of your Mozart sheet music for Mozart to sign. So, you copy down all the notes, all the symphonies, everything, and you get them published under the name Mozart, essentially just becoming Mozart. And timeline goes on, barely anything changed. Okay, I feel like there's gonna be a bit of bass in the background for this. So that paradox I just described is called the bootstrap paradox. And the main question with the bootstrap paradox is always, who made the originals? Where did the originals come from? Where did they go? What happened? How did these notes and how did all of this stuff come into existence originally before the time travel happened? And that's part of the issue with the bootstrap paradox, is nobody knows. It can't have been made, but it has been made. No one made it, it's just existed. And it's kind of screwy to think about, but when you get your head around it, it's still kind of screwy. Even if you have your head around it, it's just sort of, it doesn't make too much sense. But that's just the way paradoxes are. And of course, there's the classic paradox that everyone knows, again, the Marty McFly. You go back in time, you stop your parents from meeting, or one of your parents dies or something, and then that creates a paradox, because how would they have not met in the first place? How would they have, like, if the whole thing of them sorry, I hit a little thing. So the whole thing with the Marty McFly paradox is, go back, parents on me, blah blah, die, whatever. Well, then, how, if they never met, then you would have never been born. But if you were never born, then how would they have never met in the first place, or how would they died in the first place? That's what I've been trying to say this whole time. Is that's like the main thing with the Marty McFly paradox, is how would they have never met if you hadn't ever existed to go back and make them never meet? And it's, again, kind of screwy to think about. Let me get a volume on here. Okay. Okay, that's there. I'm gonna turn that off for now. Okay, sorry, I keep getting off track. I keep not talking. I said this video wouldn't be edited, but I feel like I'm going to have to edit it, so that way there's still some stuff here, you know? That way it's not just mostly dead air. Yeah. And just paradoxes in general is screwy. Time travel is screwy. Paradoxes are the most screwy part about time travel, but in general, it's a whole screwy situation. But that's why we love it, you know? That's why we love time travel, because it's so screwy. It's easier to like make fictional, because you can be super unrealistic with it. You can change things, you can make your own forms of it. That's why we love time travel. And that's why I love music. You know, you can do whatever you want with music. You can make any kind of music. You can do all sorts of things like that. And like, because there's no specific set rules for music, just like there's no specific set rules for time travel. And which is why I decided to do this video talking about time travel while making a song. Because time travel is a very screwy concept, and sometimes music can be a bit of a screwy concept. We all understand music, like we all understand, like, yeah, music, it's nice sounds that are usually kind of rhythmic. And time travel, we understand, oh yeah, it's going back in time or forward in time, and to either change or just see things, you know, most of the time. But for both of them, that's not always the definition. That's not everybody's definition. That's not how specifically it is defined in everyone's eyes, or everyone's ears, or everyone's brains. And in general, both music and time travel can be screwed with in so many different ways, and there's no hard and set rules about how to do them. Of course, that's if you're excluding the final version of time travel, which doesn't really fit into my point here, but I feel like I should talk about it anyway, because it's a video about time travel. And that is the real life, quote unquote, version of time travel, the real life theoretical version of time travel, which is only time travel into the future. We've been talking about time travel into the past, but this is only going into the future, which is a whole other thing. But for now, let's just talk about it this way. The realistic version of time travel is you would only be able to go into the future, and no, it's not just sitting around and waiting and like, oh, it's been 5 seconds, I time traveled 5 seconds into the future. No. The time travel I'm talking about is if you're going to close to the speed of light, it's time dilation. If you're going close to the speed of light, then time for you is slower than time outside. So time outside is speeding up. So if you were going close to the speed of light and you got back after your whole thing of time travel, your like trip, like you go fast, like you go, these aren't the exact numbers, obviously, this is just numbers popping in my head. Say you go for 5 minutes near the speed of light, like as close as you can get, and then when you get back, way more than 5 minutes would pass. It could be like anywhere from 5 months to 5 years would have actually passed while you have been gone, while you've been, you know, out time traveling. Okay. And you cannot go back in time with this version of time travel. You can only go further. Further? You can only go further. No, you can only go further. And it's, in general, kind of screwy. Well, actually, no, it's not very screwy, because there is math to it. But this is when you're trying to apply math theory to time travel. And when you try to apply real life theory to
between you and the source of the radiation.
Okay, that's what it will do. When you try to apply real life math and physics and things like that to something like time travel, which is very much an unrealistic concept, it just sort of makes it not as good. Like, oh yeah, time travel, we have a formula for that, and this is exactly how it should be all the time, blah blah blah. And if you try to do the same thing for music, you don't get good music. Trying to apply math and logic to your music, I mean, obviously there has to be some semblance of logic, some semblance of something there. Can't just be pure garbled noise. Though sometimes it can. Most of the time, people don't like that, though. Even the people who are making the music don't like that. I mean, if you like that, go right ahead. Make it as garbled as you want. But a lot of the time, people do not appreciate garbled noise. So you have to apply a little bit of logic and math to it. But if you apply too much, then it's not as fun. It's soulless. It's not really it's not really time travel anymore. It's not really as cool as it should be. How do I reverse this? First off, I'm going to pitch this down by 5. You know, like, trying to make time travel perfectly mathematical makes it just soulless and not really, like, fun. It's too restrictive. And trying to make music perfectly mathematical, trying to make a formula for every little thing, it just isn't the same. It feels wrong, and people can feel it when it feels like that. People know when it feels like that. People can identify that. People can go, huh, something ain't right about that. Just like they can do that with time travel, and it's like, oh, okay, just, yeah, alright, applying 100% complete logic to the system, it's boring now. It's just, you're making it boring is what you're doing if you're trying to apply perfect logic and symmetry to everything. By the way, if you're wondering what tuning I'm in drop D. I mean, you guys, I gotta check the footage later to see if that actually worked. My whammy bar is kind of funky on this one. Yeah. Okay. And yeah. If you're trying to make music, if you're trying to write time travel, the moral of the story is don't try to make it 100% completely logical, completely exact. Add a little chaos to it, add a little spice, you know? And it will turn out much better. And if people complain, then who gives a crap?